Today I'm going to be breaking down the first full moon in May. If you watched my previous video, you noticed that this is a month of lunations with fixed stars, offering a specific narrative arc throughout the month. But today I will be focusing specifically on the full moon in Scorpio and the fixed star Alphecca. And we're going to be seeing how this archetype and this myth relates to this current lunation. On May 1st, we have the first of 3 lunations this month. This is the full moon in Scorpio at 11 degrees, conjunct the fixed star Alphecca. And this is tied to the myth and the Greek goddess of the Labyrinth Ariadne. And this brings classic signatures of the underworld: emotional extremity, confrontation, exposure of what's been hidden, and followed by recognition and support. In Hellenistic terms, the moon in Scorpio is not functioning at its best, so she depends heavily on her ruler, Mars, in this full moon. So Mars in this lunation is in Aries, in domicile, fully resourced and able to direct, act, and make decisions. What softens this Mars-ruled full moon is her first aspect to a watery Jupiter in Cancer, bringing direction, support, and outcomes. This gives a narrative arc of an emotional crisis, Scorpio moon, paired with decisive action, Mars in Aries, consequence, Mars and Saturn in Aries, and finally restoration or empowerment, the moon's first aspect with Jupiter. With this much Mars energy in the sky, emotions can be turbulent and what has been hidden may come to the surface, perhaps requiring action. This gives the image of Persephone entering the underworld, but on her own terms, and choosing to descend, confront, and emerge, changed and empowered. But Mercury in Aries is also involved in this picture, so it's important to be cautious with our words, as this can be a very argumentative energy as well. So there can be an opportunity for clear communication or effective release of emotions by crying or other verbal channels such as writing, yelling, or talking, etc. So this energy will feel passionate, fast, impulsive, and possible disagreements could happen, but the intensity of this full moon can give an urgency to situations or to whatever arises. It could be you say something about a particular situation or take action on it, but decisions have weight. They have consequences at this time. So it's best to pause and think. Alphecca is the chief star of the constellation Corona Borealis, the northern crown. And she sits at 12 degrees Scorpio and is related to beauty, generosity, acts of kindness, and rewards for good work. It can also be ambitious and hungry for power or glory. Traditionally, she is linked with honor, adornment, a symbol of recognition, elevation, and she's also a symbol of women's achievements in a quiet and passive way. So recognition often comes after an ordeal or after time. And Bernadette Brady explains Alphecca in someone's chart as indicating a person being offered a change in social status or community advancement. What's really interesting about this full moon is its conjunction with the fixed star Alphecca, showing us the narrative arc of Ariadne, the goddess of the labyrinth, that of descent, confrontation, decisive action, and recognition. Ariadne is the daughter of the king of Minos of Crete, the ruler who keeps the terrifying Minotaur hidden in the labyrinth, a labyrinth that is vast and inescapable. Each year, the Athenian youths were sent into this labyrinth as a sacrifice to the beast, and when the hero Theseus arrives among them, Ariadne falls in love with him and decides to help him succeed where no one else had success. Knowing that strength alone wouldn't defeat the Minotaur in the labyrinth, she gives Theseus a ball of thread. He ties one end at the entrance and unwinds it as he moves inward, allowing him to find his way back after killing the Minotaur. The act is crucial. Without her, there is no victory, and she does not get credit. After the deed, Ariadne flees Crete with Theseus, betraying her family to follow him. But the story turns on the island of Naxos, where Theseus abandons her while she sleeps. Some versions portray this as a deliberate betrayal, and others say the gods compelled him to leave her. Either way, Ariadne awakens alone, devastated, and discarded after risking everything for him. Her story doesn't end there, though. The god Dionysus finds her on Naxos, takes her as his wife, and grants her a form of immortality. In some tellings, her crown is placed in the sky as a constellation, and what begins as a story of love, ingenuity, and betrayal transforms into one of divine recognition and elevation. And oftentimes, this fixed star has been referred to as the crown of Ariadne, a crown or grand of flowers. But something to remember is a flower crown may also have thorns, and that can symbolically play out as advancements in life, which are not necessarily through your own efforts, but also with the price to pay. And just like Ariadne offering the thread to Theseus and as he entered the labyrinth, but he's the one that gets the recognition instead of Ariadne. So however, this is a crown that is earned through rupture, abandonment, trial, or through someone else's achievement, and recognition will come later. Ariadne is the clearest mythic key in this star and of this full moon, and she is the backbone of this lunation, writing her story of offering of the thread, abandonment, and divine recognition. And Ariadne gives Theseus the means to navigate the labyrinth and defeat the Minotaur, using her intelligence and service, in love, devotion, and this is considered the offering of the thread. And next, we have the abandonment, where Ariadne is left behind in Naxos feeling betrayed and disillusioned. And this is where the full moon begins in the emotional truth and what was hidden or denied being brought up to the surface. And lastly, we have recognition, where Ariadne is found and elevated by Dionysus and given a crown, a fated union. That is the trine to Jupiter in Cancer, where something steps in, protects, and support appears. And this is where Ariadne gets her crown and her recognition. Right before this full moon moment, Pluto is the last aspect making before the lunation. So whatever comes up before it is worth noting because those themes may be part of the narrative arc with this full moon. And this can look like something hidden comes up, an intense situation occurs, or perhaps you did something where you didn't get the credit for. Or whatever the situation you were experiencing right before the full moon, that's where the hero's confrontation with the shadow must be taken. Think of the Minotaur as part of that confrontation, something that should not be avoided. And Alphecca's presence in this lunation can indicate one is offered, again, a change in social status or community standing, but it's gained through love and luck. And Ariadne's role as the guide to the underworld or the labyrinth means that she has the skills and information that others will need, turning her into the rescuer. It's a narrative of descent into the underworld, confrontation, decisive action, and protection. Perhaps something hidden or intolerable reaches a peak, followed by a decisive, possible harsh action taken with real consequences, but ultimately leads to protection or stabilization, recovery. And again, it's not a sit and wait, but decide, act, deal with the consequences, and receiving support later on. Like a labyrinth, this full moon is conjunct Alphecca, and it marks to a rite of passage, an opportunity to individuate, a time to enter into one version of yourself and come out changed. And the labyrinth strongly lines up with the Scorpio themes of descent, confrontation, transformation, but also the Aries energy, especially with Saturn, providing endurance in time, and Mercury providing the ability to navigate and thread meaning through complexity and this intensity. But with this full moon, it's just like a labyrinth. It has one path and it's got structure underneath, which this is the energy that is presenting. And yes, there will be some type of emotional intensity or confrontation, but it's followed by support. This brings a period of deep trust in the larger picture you can't fully see yet, bringing forth these intense individuation themes into this month's first lunation. Thank you again for joining me today, and I hope you found this information on our first full moon in Scorpio useful. And I hope that we can see each other for the next one as we cover the new moon in Taurus conjunct the fixed star Algol in the next couple weeks. See you next time. Bye.